I'm about to go off on a rant, so I'm just going to do a quick TLDR. This nurse has become a whistleblower, and we need to make it go viral. They are euthanizing healthy people in New York to keep the virus from spreading. They put people with very minor cases straight onto ventilators because it stops the virus from circulating in the air. They use no medication, even though they know it works. We already know that 80% of people who go on ventilators die, but it could be even more than that. The machines that we've been cranking out in the tens of thousands are designed to euthanize people. They put people to sleep so they don't feel it and kill them as quickly and easily as possible. Remember, they just cremated people alive in China, so I suppose we're still better. The lockdown is over. Thanks to recent fake news, the average American will no longer willingly comply with lockdown orders. They have no choice but to reopen the country or arrest tens of thousands of people. Maybe it will stop in the warmer weather, but maybe it won't. Everyone needs to see this video so they can see the potential consequences of opening up. Maybe this will stop it. I don't know. I don't care. But we should share it because it takes 5 minutes to share a video. So everyone deserves to know, so share it with everyone you can. I'm going to re-upload it a couple of places. You should re-upload it, but also share the original first because we want to hit the millions on that original video. So the link is in the description, and share the original video. This is me just like sharing with my... I'll explain later if you listen to the rant. So yeah, you can stop now, you can listen to the rant, or you can stop now and you can go to the description and get the link and share that. So yeah. And now I rant. So this is something that we've known about for 20 days now, and I guess people aren't going to take it seriously when they just read it in text. And what exactly does this mean? These ventilators that they are mass producing tens of thousands of, you know what they're designed for? They're designed to euthanize people. I'm not even sure if it's 80%. I think it's 100%. And so they're basically designed to euthanize people, and that wasn't, the media sucks at reporting, so they didn't report it that way. But this video that I just found that needs to go viral yesterday has a woman that has a friend that's a nurse, and she's working on the front lines in New York, and she basically is the whistleblower right now to say that they're basically euthanizing people. So I just wanted to re-upload the video. I'm going to link to the original, but I wanted to re-upload it in a couple of places so that way we just need to post this a lot because I'm afraid that YouTube is going to take it down or whatever, and we need to get this out there so people can understand how serious this is still. A lot of people are not taking this virus seriously at this point, and you really need to second guess yourself on this, okay? Because we still don't know all of the long-term damage that it does to you. So even if you're a young, healthy person, after this virus, you might need a lung transplant. You might need a new heart. You might need a new kidney. That's happening to young people too. So it's a very severe illness. And there's another study that came out. Now, I'm not making a full video right now, so I'm just going to tell you what I know. There's another study that came out. I haven't looked into it very much, but it said that only 4% of people that are asymptomatic cases stay asymptomatic. They're saying eventually they all turn into cases. So, and that came out of some country. I don't know. I don't know if it's real. So maybe it's incubating for 30 days and then this asymptomatic person is suddenly very sick. So I'm just really anxious right now. It always feels like I'm 5 days away from knowing if it's the end of the world or not. Because I'm just like, oh, it's probably going to be okay. And then stuff like this. I don't know. It's like, this is why I haven't been able to make videos, is because there's so much going on. If you watch the peak prosperity videos, you have a better idea of how dangerous this is still. China just shut down another city. I'm trying to work full time, and I'm barely making ends meet, so that's why I haven't been able to have time to make videos. But I'm still paying attention to all this every day, all day. And I'm like, I don't want to be the person that's like, oh, we need to stay shut down. There's just so much fake news on Facebook. Every single thing that's posted. Those two doctors that just got posted, they were talking about the serological test for the antibody test. They based their entire video on these antibody tests, and I'm like, these antibody tests, I looked into it, and when I looked into it, so this was of a few days ago, I don't know if it's still true or not, but when that story broke, and when 30 different websites put up an article at the same time and blasted it to the world and made sure every single person in America was aware of it, They did that when the study hadn't even been published as a preprint yet. And they blasted that out there saying, oh, 20% of New York is infected. They just blasted it out there. And I'm like, are you kidding me? We have no idea how sensitive this test was. You know, they could have false positives from coronavirus, from previous coronaviruses, or you know, there's just a million ways that could not be the true statistic. And people just don't get that, like, we're in triage mode and all the doctors and all the scientists in the world are focused on finding a treatment for people, and so they're not, like, trying to prove to people how severe the condition is. That's not where their focus is. So people just think that because there's not a ton of news coming out, there is a ton of news coming out. There is. And if you watch Peak Prosperity, you'll see that there's a lot of news coming about how dangerous this virus could be. But what I'm just trying to say is, like, it just constantly feels like I can't say whether or not we should open the country or not. I don't think we should open the country yet, but I can't explain that to people on Facebook because they just have no idea what's going on with the virus. They don't know anything about it, and they think it's a 3% chance of killing you, it's a 0.2% chance of killing you. I still think it's a much higher percentage, and we're 5 days away from knowing if it's true or not. That's how it always is. So then eventually I'm like, well, you know, at some point it's just going to be never, right? It's getting warm, maybe it goes away. So I feel stupid and crazy, but at the same time, the consequences, the potential consequences to making the wrong move here, just the potential consequences. Now, it's unlikely because it's getting warm, right? It's getting warm, and that probably means it's going to stop until the fall. But then they're saying, oh, but in this country it is warm, and it isn't stopping. So, I don't know. I feel like we're still 5 days away from the truth, but we're not 5 days away from the 1st, which is when all the meat is going to go out of stock because 25% of the meat has been euthanized instead of being sent to the grocery store. So just be prepared for that, basically. So yeah, I'm just going to play the video now, and you can just go and share the original video if you want to. You don't have to share this version with me ranting on the top, but basically what I'm trying to say is my followers are already aware of this. We've already been aware of this for 20 days. We know that they have been euthanizing people for 20 days. And she'll explain that they are taking people with very, very minor, like, cases and putting them on a ventilator to kill them because it keeps the virus from spreading. So the faster they get somebody on a ventilator, the faster they're not breathing the virus out into the hospital. So that's why they're putting them on ventilators, and then it kills them, like, within a few days. So it's just, and they're under, so they don't feel anything, and they're euthanized. It's a euthanasia machine. So, but we've known this. I've known this. I'm sure everybody that's watching this video has known that they've been doing this for 20 days. But this video that she made explaining it is the one that's going to go viral. So you need to go and get this link and share it. You don't need to share my rant. My rant is for you guys. So yeah, that's it. I'm going to play the video now, and I'm also going to re-upload it in a couple of places. I'll probably upload it without my intro on my channel and share that one, share this one, share that one. We need to share it. You know, you re-upload it, share it. Of course, when you have one video that hits millions of views, which should be the original, so share this one the most. But we need that one that hits millions of views. So yeah, share this with everyone you know. Share it with content creators, and we'll make this viral tomorrow. Okay, guys. See you later. Bye.
Please help this video go viral. I'm sure I'm going to get some hate messages after this. Frankly, I don't care because this could save someone's life. I'm a nurse practitioner. I am licensed and certified. I am not on the front lines. I have a friend in New York City who's on the front lines, and for her safety, she cannot come out and say these things, so I am her voice. I'm not going to name names of people or hospitals for the safety of those involved, but this is her account, okay? I am her voice here. I'm going to tell you what she has told me. She wants this to get out. Now, I'm sure this is not the case everywhere. I'm confident. I have friends that are in other places. They're on the front lines. They're in ICU, and it's not like this everywhere. But in New York City right now, in some of the hospitals, this is what is going on. People are sick, but they don't have to stay sick. They are killing them. They are not helping them. She used the word murder, coming from a nurse who went to New York City expecting to help. Patients are left to rot and die. Her words. She has never seen so much neglect. No one cares. They are cold and they don't care anymore. It's the blind leading the blind. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I was on with some nurse friends of mine and we were discussing different medications that could be used to potentially help people. Doctors who were reporting around the country that they were using a combination of medications that were helping people. People were not dying when they were on these medications. They were getting better. Those medications are not being used in hospitals in New York City. What is happening is that they're putting people on nasal cannula. If they require more than 6 liters of nasal cannula, they get intubated, they go on the vent, or they get trached if there's not enough vents. They don't get high flow, no non-rebreather, no non-invasive ventilation, no CPAP, no BiPAP. They're on a closed system, the ventilator, versus a CPAP or a BiPAP for fear that it will spread the virus. Which, by the way, I know a nurse in Florida who was fired for exposing that about CPAP and BiPAP and patients being put on the ventilator, like straight away to the ventilator, to be on a closed system. The patients don't know any better. They don't have family with them. There is no one there with them to advocate for them. So they are scared and they give consent. The ventilators have high PEEP, high pressure, which then causes barotrauma. It causes trauma to the lungs. Dr. Siddell, Cameron Kyle Siddell, a few weeks ago put out a video. He's in New York City, and he put out a video saying something is not right, like we're not treating this correctly. We're doing something wrong. This doesn't make sense. They pulled his video from YouTube and they took him out of ICU because they couldn't have one doctor going against the grain, going against their protocol. The protocol is propofol or some kind of sedation because they're on the ventilator, and IV antibiotics. There's no hydroxychloroquine. They're not using that combination with Zithromax. They're not using zinc, vitamin C, high doses of vitamins A and D. They laugh. This is what she's told me. They laugh at that. She says this is a nightmare. It's out of a horror movie, and I don't want to be a part of this. There are people who are a full code, and yet if they crash, they're not doing compressions because it will spread the virus. Full code, not doing compressions. Family is not there. They have no one to answer to. No one is being held accountable. A code was called and no one came. So sometimes they're not even resuscitating people. Again, left to rot and die. They're not given blood because we know that the blood is not oxygenated in these COVID patients. We know that. There are doctors all around the world sounding the alarms. These are the drugs that work. This is the pathophysiology of the disease. This is what's happening. And for some reason, it's not changing. Even though we know, some of us know what's going on, nothing is changing on the front lines. They stay in the same PPE all shift, except for the top pair of gloves. So 2 pairs of gloves, or I don't know, maybe more than 2, but they're only changing the gloves on the outside. Gown, mask, whatever else stays the same because all patients are COVID patients. So if it's a COVID floor, it's all COVID, but it's not because some of them are rule out COVID. So even if they're rule out COVID and they're not COVID, they're gonna get COVID because they're using the same PPE all shift and they're carrying that contamination to all of the patients. They're not changing their PPE. They're not going into rooms. So they're running long tubing into the room so that they can manage the tubing from outside of the rooms. So if they're not going into the rooms, that means they're not assessing the patients. Okay, this is coming from my friend who is in New York City right now on assignment, who went there to help, and this is what she's finding. It's a horror movie, she says. Not because of the disease, but because of the way it's being handled. She said we need help and people are sitting there waiting in the hotels. Money, I guess, it's being paid for by FEMA, and yet they're still understaffed. And there are hundreds of people, hundreds of nurses in the hotels waiting to be called onto a shift. I'm really fortunate. I don't have any family in New York City that I personally have to worry about. If there are people that you are worried about, or maybe it's not even New York City, maybe you're in another city that's being really hard hit and you're just hearing really bad things coming out of that city, something is wrong in the system. So go against the grain. Request records immediately. Records, transcripts, immediately. Do not give consent for intubation if you don't want to be intubated or your loved one to be intubated. Demand non-invasive or less invasive ventilation methods. From my nurse friend who's in New York City right now on assignment, this is murder, she says. People are being murdered and no one cares. Horrible care.